The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here he is, Brandon.
Welcome back to the Brandon Peters Show and our penultimate installment in Tarkovsky's Tales, a retrospective on the cinematic works of Russian auteur Andrei Tarkovsky. Joining me again for this series, author of Red, White, and Who, programmer at Chicago TARDIS, and the man who has spun for decades in the Chicago area, Stephen Warren Hill.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Today we'll be discussing two films, both released in 1983, although some places say the documentary was 82. I'm going with IMDb's 1983 on it. Nostalgia and Voyage in Time, the latter of which being a documentary based on the location scouting for Nostalgia. Stephen, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
How are you feeling in this post-stalker territory of Andrei Tarkovsky?
I was most interested in finding out what I thought of this movie because it had been a long time since I had seen it last. 2000 was the last time I watched it. I definitely didn't have the near as the familiarity I have with Andrei Rublev and Stalker. I was kind of looking forward to it, and it's been rewarding. So let's discuss why.
Right? Yeah. For me, it's been a year because it came out on 4K, and I watched it. I didn't do that with The Sacrifice because I knew this was coming up, so I was like, I'm gonna hold off and wait to debut that 4K for this retrospective.
Se volete che il mondo vada avanti, dobbiamo tenerci per mano. Ci dobbiamo mescolare i cosiddetti sani e i cosiddetti ammalati. Ehi, voi sani, che cosa significa la vostra salute?
Anche lei desidera un bambino? O vuole la grazia per non averne?
Sono qui solo per guardare.
Scusi, signorina, ma questo russo che cosa fa?
Il poeta
Scrive sull'Italia?
sta scrivendo la biografia di un musicista russo.
Come ti chiami?
Angela.
Angela. Sei contenta?
Di che cosa?
Della vita.
Della vita, sì.
Zoe, perché non rispondi?
Zoe. Lo sai che ho paura a stare solo. Non so a cosa stai pensando. Ma ora basta, basta. Non si deve pensare sempre alla stessa cosa.
Questa luce mi fa venire in mente certi pomeriggi d'autunno a Mosca, nel parco Gneskushny.
Voi non capite niente della Russia.
Allora anche voi non conoscete niente dell'Italia.
Certo, È impossibile per noi poveracci.
Allora come possiamo fare per conoscerci?
Bisogna distruggere le frontiere.
Quali frontiere?
So Nostalgia is directed by Andrei Tarkovsky, of course, and written by Tarkovsky and Tonino Guerra. It stars Oleg Yankovsky, who was like the fourth or fifth choice for this role. He comes back to work with Tarkovsky as to mirror our guy, from Andrei Rublev, the one he'd been
Anatoly
working
Solzhenitsyn.
Solzhenitsyn. He was the ideal choice, but he passed away before shooting. He then went through 3 or 4 other choices, but there were some scheduling conflicts and things like that. And so Oleg gets the nod here. He does a fine job. We also stars Domiziana Giordano, Erland Josephson, Patricia Terreno, and Delia Baccardo. Italian easier for me than Russian, apparently, to pronounce. This movie is about a Russian poet and his interpreter travel to Italy, researching the life of an 18th century composer, and instead meet a ruminative madman who tells the poet how the world may be saved. This is Tarkovsky leaves the Soviet Union to go and film in Italy. This film ends up being a big hit at Cannes, but the Soviet Union prevented the film from winning the Palme d'Or, as they had done previously with Andrei Rublev many years before, and this resolved him never to work in Russia or Russia/Soviet Union again, though he would only make one more film. But he was like, that's enough, because he was raking up awards, but he couldn't get the big one because Russia protested against it with their influence and such. And then the documentary, which we're talking about later, when you see it, it becomes quite clearly the script became based on that experience almost, as much as it was its own thing. So, Stephen, returning to it 25 years later, did you watch the Kino 4K Ultra HD?
Yes, I did.
Okay, looks
Yes.
gorgeous. Looks gorgeous.
It does. Wow, it looks so good.
Yeah. So, what are your first thoughts on returning?
Well, so this was my third time seeing the movie. I bought it on Laserdisc, which was a Criterion Laserdisc, incidentally. My records say October 21st, 1997. Paid list price for it, $69.95 for those of you who complain about the incredibly high prices of Blu-rays. Oh my gosh. I have to pay what? $45.95 for this? No, well, you weren't alive in the Laserdisc days or something. I don't know, because that's nothing. Anyway, according to my records, I watched it the day I bought it, which is unusual, very unusual for me. A lot of times movies will sit for a long time on my shelf before I get around to watching them. So I must have been particularly anxious to see it. Being that it had been 25 years since the last time I saw it, I really didn't remember any of the particulars except for 2 things, and I bet you can guess what those 2 things are. And I know we're not really doing spoilers. We're expecting our audience more or less to have seen these movies.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is now 42 years old, so you had your chance. You knew for a month we were covering. You know what? You knew for months since we started this retrospective back. We was it March or April? You knew this was coming. It's available. You had time.
Exactly.
We were going to be doing a discussion of the film as if you had seen the film. So there you go. Continue.
So the 2 things that I remember from the movie, seeing it so long ago, the self-immolation scene, and the walking the candle from one end of the pool to the other.
So you remembered the end.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, surprisingly, I had forgotten the last shot of the movie, which would be a third memorable thing, but apparently wasn't memorable enough for me. Maybe that was the first memory to go. I don't know. The thing is that it's I'm sure we'll talk about those scenes, absolutely. But what I'm interested in here now is, why are those scenes so memorable and the rest of the movie so forgettable? Not entirely forgettable. That's unfair to say that, but comparatively, because those scenes are really, I'm going to use the word unforgettable, because you're gonna freaking remember those scenes. One is so shocking that you're just, you won't forget seeing that, and the other one is so unique, especially in today's cinema. A scene that is a single shot that lasts, how long? I don't remember how long that shot lasts, but it's got to be 10 minutes or so. Unbroken shot, where clearly the director said, here's what you're going to do. I'm going to follow you all the way. If the candle goes out, go back and start over, and just keep doing that until you get all the way across. It's going to take however long it's going to take. And I really feel like if it had taken him 3 more tries, we would have seen all of those tries in the finished film. I really feel strongly about that. Unless he had to, maybe there's some information out there somewhere that says they filmed it 10 times or something.
Unless he got like a cramp on one, and we're like, we're not showing people that. We're not showing people.
Yeah, but so 2 really, truly unforgettable scenes. Is the rest of the movie really so easily forgettable? Visually, the movie is so stunning.
Yes.
Even more so, I think, than Mirror, which, it's a beautiful movie. And well, Stalker has a different feel to the visual look. I mean, it's as beautiful, but I don't get the I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's not the same kind of sense of beauty that I get from Mirror and this movie. So I can't really put it into words, so I'll just gloss over that for now. But it's a beautiful movie, and some shots. I know that some reviewers, having read a lot of outside opinions and stuff on all of his movies over the years, I know that there are people who are surprised that Tarkovsky made Italy, sun-drenched Italy, look like dark and cloudy and dingy Russia somehow. Decrepit, decaying buildings. But you also wonder, knowing his attention to detail, legendary attention to detail, and making sure that everything in the frame is exactly the way he wants it. I have to imagine that those decaying buildings were built that way.
Yeah.
It's so convincingly real, that unless you think about it, you may not realize that. So you look at the walls that look like they've had years of repair work and plaster work over plaster work and crumbling here and there. And you look really closely at it in the 4K edition, and you go, I wonder how a plasterer gets a brand new wall to look like that.
Yeah.
because it's astonishing.
Yeah.
And you know that it's all constructed, right? So
Mhm.
um, when you see the home of Domenico, the quote unquote madman, and the ceiling is rotted through, and there's rain falling in, and let's start checking our boxes here,
No,
right?
yes, is
Right.
that yeah, Rain
Rain
Inside
indoors.
definitely checks that one because there's a lot. Yeah.
um you think, wow, it's all the time spent, and it starts raining when it needs to, and it stops raining when it needs to, and he's so in control of everything that's happening here. um so it's a thing of beauty, and uh, everything that happens in the first hour is almost like I won't have to think about what happened anymore because I'll remember. But now that I've seen it again, but I feel like it's so inconsequential because the story itself, the movie kind of throws it away. Ostensibly it's about uh, researching a musician, a composer, but halfway through the movie, we're not even doing that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that the scenes before and between those two unforgettable bits are forgettable. It's just that they don't matter as much. It's because we're presented a story, the seed of an idea that we're going to start, and that whole idea is kind of abandoned by the characters not far into the movie, and it becomes a different story, and it becomes a very non-specific story. And other people will complain that means there's no plot. Well, no, don't say that, because
Mm-hmm.
that's unfair. That's not being fair.
Mm-hmm.
There's a plot. um it's it's about character relationships. I The scene where his translator gets angry at him and starts yelling at him, that scene really frustrates me because it seems like a little bit like sexism turned upside down, right?
Mm-hmm.
um it seems like a male character paired up with a female character where they're supposed to work together in stories and probably in real life too. The male is the one who's going to expect to have a relationship with the woman eventually,
Yeah.
because men are irresistible, and every woman's going to want them, right? So that's not how it plays out in this movie. It's the woman who gets frustrated with the man because he's not interested in her.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of feels like I'm like, oh, I didn't realize this was happening here. Like it comes out of it's I won't
It
say
comes
left
out of
field
mhm.
because there's a little playful banter like right before it, but like it's definitely like what? Oh, I didn't realize this was going on.
Yeah, yeah. um so there's enough going on that you can't say that there's no plot. The thing is, Tarkovsky is notoriously obtuse, for lack of
Yeah.
a better word. He doesn't want to nail it down for you very easily. He's not. He wants you to work. He
Mm-hmm.
wants you to think about it.
Right.
Um, and and so my conclusion there, after thinking about it for a while, it's not that the rest of the movie is not memorable. It's just that there's there it's a lot more scattershot. It's a lot less focused, and it's not all hanging on to a plot line.
Mm-hmm.
So I can forgive that. It's definitely there to get to where we're going, which I could also see complaints about. Well, okay, if there's if you're trying to tell me there's a plot, how does the movie end? Well, I can tell, you know,
Right.
that's also a little bit unfair. The Domenico, the madman, um, he ends up he ends up in Rome, right? And
Hmm.
in Rome, he's clearly decided to make a statement, and he gives a speech, and as soon as he starts dousing himself in whatever it is, gasoline or who knows what, you start to wonder, oh, is this really going to happen? And it does. And it's quite horrific and shocking. And yeah, it's a movie. So they make it look real, but it's not. So don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well,
But
with him, like, to me, like, what I see with him is he's like he's a true believer. Like, and he's so, because we're told he's a madman. We've told what he's done to his wife and daughter in the past and stuff. And so
mhm,
his, like, he doesn't, he's one that doesn't need evidential proof, facts, or eyewitness. And once he's just informed secondhand that Andre's done his achievement, because he has asked him personally to walk the candle for him and all that,
yeah,
he takes it right as, gospel or whatever you say, and sets himself ablaze. And the task has not been even attempted yet at that
right.
point. So he just goes to show his conviction to his cause. And yeah.
And I don't, unless it happens without, unless it happens off camera, I don't think that the main character, Andre, is aware. I don't think he knows that Domenico has set himself on fire. But because he's promised, you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
because he's promised him that he will make this attempt to cross the cross the pool with a candle,
Hmm.
he's going to do that. He's finally going to get around to doing it. In his mind, he hasn't cheated the guy out of anything.
Right.
And if he doesn't know that he's killed himself already, as far as he's concerned, he's still alive and he's still doing him what he promised that he would do. What it means story-wise is irrelevant, really. It's a show of conviction, and it's a promise that he made, and apparently it meant enough to Domenico that there's enough there. I mean, it was important to him. And although Andre doesn't seem to really understand its importance,
Hmm.
he does finally follow through on the promise. That being the second most memorable scene, the unbroken shot of him making finally third attempt making it across
Hmm.
the pool. We don't see up until the very end, we don't even know that there's people watching.
Right.
It's so isolated because the camera follows him. We don't know that there's a crowd that has formed
Right.
at the end of the end of the pool, and they're all watching him. Every once in a while, he looks up and he glances around, but you don't know what he's looking at. You don't know that he's being watched. And the movie does not make it clear exactly what happens to him as he finishes, because I think the implication is that his heart gives out
Hmm.
at the end, because you hear him groan, and then it seems like he collapses, although we don't see it. And then there's a reverse shot and there's someone running towards him. Um, and there's lines before he takes a pill before he starts, and there's lines before that. She asks him on the phone how his heart is, and
Right.
um, so there's definitely groundwork laid there for that, but it's still not clear exactly what happens to him. Does he collapse? Does he die? Is he just not feeling well? What exactly happens? We don't know.
Yeah. That and see, like it almost, one could say that like that's what first hit Tarkovsky was this idea of crossing the water with this candle, and then decided he need to figure out this movie around all of that,
Uh,
because it kind of feels like that's where he's most convicted to, but like what is this, why, like the idea, like this whole movie is a build up to this guy doing this, um and you have to wonder, is that what he came up with first and then started breaking this movie off to figure out what who this man is that does this, and what is the story that leads him
mm,
up to have to do it. That's quite possible.
mm-hmm.
But there's a whole lot of stuff to like when watching this for enjoyment the couple times I had before this episode, and then like really having a hard look, and then like this is definitely a movie I feel like as you age, it probably means something a little more to you, or you could see a little bit more. But like, I find it very interesting you pointing out um, the color timing on this, and
Mm,
um, yeah, how it does look like a Russian, one of his Russian movies, but we're in Italy, and that's the putting their stamp on, look, I'm here. And then, of course, he's attracted to this kind of architecture when
mm-hmm.
scouting and shooting for the film that reminds him of his home. Hence, this movie's called Nostalgia. And there is a lot of different readings of that on display here. You have, we have our lead is doing a story on a poet they admired that they have from the past that they had nostalgia for. You have your homeland that you're having nostalgia for. The way things used to be, the older religious practices at the beginning when they go to the
Mm-hmm.
little before she goes to look at the picture, and there's all these people doing these more old time gatherings and hopes for things. The thrill of the chase and excitement of courting a lover, which is what the interpreter seems to want, because
Mm-hmm.
she gets so upset with him that he doesn't want to hook up with this during their like adventure together and in the heat of this. And then we see her with her boyfriend, who does not give her the time of day at all while he's at the office. So maybe she has this nostalgia for the thrill of the chase with a new lover. And there's superstition, that's kind of a nostalgic thing. And then like a storybook finish for the story of your life too, being something to be nostalgia for before you
Mm-hmm.
realize the world's not perfect. Your life isn't perfect. It's not a neat little storybook. Everybody's adventure has some weird spots in it and everything else. Um, so like there, and I'm sure there's more examples that you could tie the title into, but it's all quite clearly there. It's like, yeah, this is a perfect title for this movie. He had a couple others before that, but nostalgia is perfect for it. Um, but yeah, with those things too, and his reckoning and doing you mentioned how we have this story about doing a story on this poet kind of goes away, but I had in my notes here, it's kind of funny you said that, because I'm like, I feel like you have this starting with this guy doing this project and research on this iconic composer from his own country, um but then he, somewhere in that story, he wants to be him and experience
Mm,
that, and be in the same headspace as him as an individual when he was going through this while he's in Italy at the same time. And throughout this adventure, because the poet famously left Russia, goes to Italy, becomes famous, does all this stuff, and then goes back home and then commits suicide. And I think at some point he's getting down, he's prepared to go back home, and he has this wait. When he went back home, he committed suicide.
mm-hmm.
And he kind of maybe has this sense that his time's up, but he wants to make something better for his efforts, and that's when he chooses to do the candle, possibly, is because he wants his story to end with some sort of heroicism, and not and somewhere new, break new ground in Italy, rather than going back home and just being where it all started, breaking the nostalgia,
Mm,
possibly. But that's where I got my kind of read I had on that, because it does drop that poet story, but I think
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
he becomes that poet. There's like a handshake where he embodies him rather than studies him at that point. and the
Yeah.
Domenico guy sort of like influences it a little bit with that. Or we could call it a mess and say that Tarkovsky gave up on it at
Well,
some point in the story writing, but my like me trying to take the film as is, and knowing this director and everything else, I'm like, but that's the beauty of Tarkovsky, is we can all grab reads on stuff
mhm.
and none of us are wrong. Well, maybe people could be wrong, but if you're really into it, you can find into that. But that was kind of my taking and my read on this one. I did it for this one here. So yeah.
And interestingly enough, that read pairs very well with the documentary that we watched also,
Mm-hmm.
because specifically what you mentioned about the lead character in the movie, Andre, sort of trying to put himself in the footsteps of the subject of his study
Mm-hmm.
to become him in a way. And that's a little bit of what you get in that documentary,
Yeah.
is seeing Andrei Tarkovsky putting himself in his character's place.
Right.
So,
It's spookily parallel.
mm.
The way that documentary plays with this movie. Uh yeah.
And I'm not sure that you want to move on to the documentary quite yet, but
Yeah.
that what we can save that for a little bit later. But
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier the third thing that should have been memorable enough to me to keep it in my head, but it wasn't apparently, uh, is the final shot of the film,
Mm-hmm.
which is another, I don't know, I didn't measure how long the shot lasts, but it's kind of a long time.
There's a
Uh,
lot of long shots in this movie. Like, he
oh,
really goes
yeah.
to town with it more than before.
And, we've said this, it's worth repeating. We've said this. If you're going to watch a Tarkovsky movie and you haven't before, just try as hard as you can to slow yourself down to the pace of the movie and not get impatient with it, because you really have to. It's like trying to run alongside a fast moving car.
Mm-hmm.
You can catch up to the car, you can run alongside it. This is a slow moving car. You need to slow yourself down to match its pace.
Well, and it's an art gallery kind of like experience that he gives, because in addition to the scene playing that you're watching, take in the surround, take in like what all's like. He's got very active, very uh intentional camera movements, sets he's picking, actions happening on screen, like, and you're just like, just taking the detail, especially now that we have 4K Ultra HD
Mhm.
Blu-rays, but taking the detail, taking what you're thinking, taking the character's facial reactions, taking like, how do you feel once we're like in a zoom close up compared to where we started the shot? Um, are there clever movements, or is the cut to the next thing super smart? Like, there's just a lot. Like, there's a scene where he goes back to his hotel room. I think the first time he maybe goes, yeah, to his hotel room, and we have a window up here, uh, and we have a bed in the middle, and then we have the bathroom with the door
Bathroom.
open, and
Mhm.
it's the window's open, the rain's coming in outside, and then the bathroom's over here, and it's moonlit, and it's like just gorgeous, and it's like I can sit and bask in this for a long time. That's just how good this stuff is, and it plays with a dream sequence too that I think goes back to it, um, but it's just like, yeah, that sort of thing. And then there's an amazing one where he goes into this room in one of the ruinous places they're looking at, and there's mud and algae and grass on the floor, and he goes down and he zooms through it, and all of a sudden you feel like you're looking at some mountainous nature spectacle,
Mhm.
and it's shit on the floor, but it looks like this big canvas for something, and that's
It's
stunning.
it is. It is. It
Like,
it
yeah.
feels like a miniature outdoor set,
Mm-hmm.
and it's shot that way. Eventually, the shot turns into that. It
Yes.
doesn't start out that way, but by the end, it feels like you're watching. Okay, Godzilla's going to come
Right. Yeah.
out
Yeah.
of the mountain because it looks like a miniature, and it's so yeah. That's an amazing shot.
Yeah, it's great because it starts where like, oh, this is a cool room. There's a chair with a leg in a puddle, and there's this thing over here, and then you just like slowly zooms in, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that little puddle looks like a river now, and this looks like a
Mm-hmm.
mountain. That looks like a fort. Like, wow, it's just it's incredible. And that I mean, he may be like trying to evoke that the guy's having a memory of some sort of countryside in Russia or something, but
Mm-hmm.
it's fantastic. Like,
I'm tempted to say that this movie is the closest that Tarkovsky got to his own personal mission statement of saying that cinema is a work of art,
mm-hmm,
and and you have to take it as a piece of art, not as storytelling. Um, because and that kind of fits in really well with people who say that there's no plot, or it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, or even, God forbid, the people who call it boring.
mm-hmm,
Don't be one of those people. Um, it's because it is art to be considered and admired.
yeah.
And this, I think, even more than Mirror, I know both of these movies, Mirror and Nostalgia, are very autobiographical and very closely personal to him. But I think this movie more so is the work of art, and Mirror is the more personal story. Telling uh, his own story, and this is not so much telling his own story as it is just creating a work of art.
That or maybe him being like, where do I go from here? What am I
Mm,
doing? You know, like it
maybe being lost. Yeah.
yeah, like it's yeah. That like I don't think he was tapped out, but maybe this is his ponderance of like cuz he hadn't made a movie. Stalker was 79, was it? And this is 83. Granted he took his time between his movies, but still um it's interesting. Like is this, is this my life in Italy now? Like what is all this stuff? But yeah, and yeah, cinema's not always it's a work of art. It's a series of lighting cuts, zooming, framing, blocking, putting things a balance on the screen together if you can. Like, there's a whole lot more to it than just well, this is what the dialogue tells us to do. This is
Yeah.
we gotta go, you know, steal the this from that to plug it into here to light the beam and defeat the big guy. It's not all that. Like it is an art form. It is like a painting. It is like music. There's a symphony.
Mm,
Like cinema is the great thing that brings together all the other mediums. Like it does. It's the only one that can do all the things the others cannot. Like painting. It involves the joys of painting, the joys of photography, the joys of books, the joys of poetry, the joys of music, all that in one. It's what they all
mm-hmm,
built to. But yeah, and it's the one that forever took that people didn't take seriously as a work of as art
mm,
for the longest time. But
mm-hmm.
he treats it as such. He is an artist. I have someone I know always says, the thing with David Lynch compared to other directors, is he's an artist first, film
Yep.
director second.
Yep.
And Tarkovsky probably falls into that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can just, I love his long takes. You
Oh
get to see
yeah.
actors if they're dialogue in the scene, there you get to see a real in performance there, and then you just stare at all the detail in the frame that he
Mm-hmm.
has, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like where you're at. the geography is not a problem for an Andrei Tarkovsky film. So
It's a good way of putting it.
yeah. But yeah, no, and I just love his take on like ruinous places. Like no place in our Tarkovsky film is a perfect area. And he loves to visit the most decrepit ones. And I always like maybe part of my enjoyment of like schlocky Italian horror and such of this period is I just like the Italian architecture and imperfectness that lies there. It's usually, yes, you're right. It's usually a lot brighter in those other movies here, but his dinginess that he brings, he sort of brings what like how they always show that 60s movies, how they were, and then like the rain people comes and that's changes the aesthetic for the 70s. But
there's another observation I'd like to make about an echo of something he does in Andrei Rublev. We pointed out there's a couple of instances in that movie where a character is on one side of the screen and the camera is pans away from them, and then they appear on the other side of the screen when the pan finally reaches another certain point. So they're clearly, since it's an unbroken shot, they're clearly, as soon as the camera's off them, they're going behind the camera,
right,
and then setting themselves up for when the camera picks them up again over on the other side. And this happens at least once in this movie. It's one of the black and white shots with the family standing around. And it starts on a close-up of the younger woman, I think, if I remember right. And then as soon as the camera is off her, we pick up another person sort of farther away, and then another couple of people, I think, maybe, and then all of a sudden the one that we saw first is there in the shot again, and it continues, and this second person is now off the shot and then appears farther away.
Yeah,
it's clever, and it's it must have taken a lot of practice to get it timed right.
Right. Yeah, there's the one at Domenico in his place where it goes all the way across his place. They're talking, kind of passes him by and stuff, and it comes back, and he's right in the foreground.
Yep.
Like sitting down to talk again. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you also have the timing of there's a scene where he get a bloody nose in the lobby of the hotel, and she literally, the interpreter, has a conversation with whatever, goes up to her room, gets changed, packs up, and comes down in that time. And there's a zoom in and a pull out, and then they have the time. So she literally, I don't think there's any cuts in that. I don't believe he would have done that. We're not quite there yet, but like, yeah, she had to go up and look like she changed her outfit and stuff and come back down. Like, that's impressive. And I like it because like we stay in the same area, but things have completely changed, and it's so good that I don't think people realize they're watching a consecutive shot. Or maybe after it does cut, they're like, "Oh, did they not cut?" Like, so he's got a very slow moving camera, but it's effective. Like, I think it's not super fast and stuff, and sometimes you don't realize, oh, we zoomed to get here, we didn't cut. That's kind of the fun with it all. And like you said, I love the replacement of characters and moving and coming from different parts of the camera in the same shot. Like, it's really cool.
I was going to mention that this is going to sound a little bit off topic, and forgive me for that, but there's a reason. Movie magic, a little movie magic story. I worked on a fan film many years ago where we were shooting the scene inside an office, and I wanted to be able to see one of our characters through the window in the parking lot outside, and have them show up at exactly the right moment that something happened in the scene inside. And the way we did it is we had somebody around the corner with a walkie-talkie and another person outside out of shot with a walkie-talkie,
Oh wow.
and the person inside gave them the cue to start walking as soon as the time was right for them to appear in the shot. And it worked out beautifully. The timing was perfect. And there's no other way you can get that without, being able to cue that person is far away. There's no other way you can make that timing
Right.
happen like that. So that's a little movie magic story. That's the kind of thing that, it must have happened in Tarkovsky's films multiple times just by looking at some of the things that he's able to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a walkie-talkie, certainly signaling in some way somebody that wouldn't be able to know just by sitting and observing because they're
Mm-hmm.
too far away.
There's a very if you want to see the difficulties and craziness of stuff like this, um, there is an episode of the now 10-time Emmy-winning show The Studio where they do an episode that is about a movie trying to get a one shot, one take, one shot thing, and the whole episode's done as a one shot, one take thing. But it it shows the difficulties and how little things can screw with that, and how you need to get it a certain time of day, and all sorts of things, and the importance of it. But it's a funny instance of that sort of thing. But it shows the absolute difficulty and the absurdity of us wanting all that. Like
Yeah.
the one shot. Do the whole thing in one shot. But it pays off in the end. But it's a lot of communicating and everybody having to hit their marks at the right time. It's synchronized swimming, but for film, pretty much, probably something like that. Let's see here. I have a question here. I don't know where to fit into our conversation, but maybe you could answer. Maybe I missed it watching the film, but like, why isn't Andre interested in returning home to his wife? Like, he doesn't. I don't know what it is. Like that, you'd feel that might keep him going. He doesn't have any children, from what I gather, right? I don't think they mentioned
Yeah,
any.
I think he does, but
Does okay.
I don't remember that was
Okay.
of consequence.
Right. He does have a dream where it's insinuated that his wife, the interpreter, and Mother Mary of Jesus are like one individual, kind of. Like,
Oh, right, yeah.
yeah. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, why
Yeah,
was there no
I don't
inspiration to
know.
return? Because when he wants to go home, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go home.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was just like, huh.
I think it could be as simple as him not feeling like he found what he was looking for yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that. Guess pointing out the checklist of things.
Oh, yeah.
We open up on that tree, just that little specific tree, and then we have this is more so prevalent in some have it Andrei Rublev, and then again in Solaris, but that you have the pond or water or something over the algae running, and that happens in a scene here. Um, and yeah, I think the overall some of the places they go and visit and wander like feels like Stalker Part 2 at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is that, like the room where we talked about um the the scenescape where it zooms in. That feels like it could have been like that room from Stalker,
Yeah.
or like the where your true intention comes out or something like that. Like I was like that could have been the reveal in Stalker, but I don't know. Like he films all these places that I'm like, I want to go visit that. I want to go see what that is. Like it looks like it'd be a cool place to take a look at, some pictures, be like, oh wow, look at these ruins with
I
all the
think I
water.
may have mentioned one of our previous shows too, like houses within houses, which
Yeah.
you get that in the final shot.
Mm-hmm.
more or less.
Yeah. And my these long shots and stuff, one thing I was talking about the beauty of it, like especially when he's in the ruiny areas, like the one he visits where he talks to like the little girl, that one's especially awesome. But it's like, what did this used to be? Like my mind when I'm watching these long stuff, like, what did this used to be? What was this like when it was like
Hmm.
not old and abandoned and everything like that? What was this like when it was
Yeah.
happening? It's very interesting. These are the things I ponder when you have long shots like this, and you can do
Yeah.
that, and you're like, oh, let your mind wander. Like, what are these things? But it looks awesome as ruins.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's just fascinating to me. My weird old mind. We can start dipping in now to Voyage in Time if you want. Talk a little bit about that, which is directed by Andrei Tarkovsky and Tonino Guerrero, who wrote Nostalgia with him, and they both are credited as writers on this as well. It's where acclaimed Russian director Andrei Tarkovsky and his screenwriter Tonino Guerra travel all over Italy to scout locations for the film Nostalgia. And as we mentioned, yeah, this parallels that. We see these places in a different light, in a different way, shot documentary style. Um, yeah, it's very fascinating. Had you watched this before, Stephen?
I don't think I had. There was there's another documentary that I think is on the Sacrifice disc that
Mhm.
that I have seen, but I don't think I'd seen this one before.
Gotcha. And what was your impression of it?
It meanders a hell of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's there's a lot of unnecessary. I call it unnecessary. I mean, you're making a documentary. There's a reason. This, there must be a reason for you to make a documentary, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
um, shots that like following a little kid around who's just flying a balloon. I don't really understand why
Yeah.
we're not.
And then some of it feels like very staged too.
Hmm.
Like that, I was like, okay, that's
Uh,
not natural.
They cut open a watermelon, and all of a sudden we get this jaunty
Oh yeah,
music, and
and then they just like sit around eating watermelon, yeah, having a conversation, just eating watermelon like they're cutting like pizza slices too. It's like, um,
uh, I
yeah,
mean, it's interesting,
yes,
but there's a lot there that's unnecessary
right.
to keeping your interest, and
I learned nothing about the film they were making from this at all. I just, yeah,
yeah, no, you get to learn a little bit about Tarkovsky. That's
yeah,
probably the best thing you can say
yeah. The
about it.
the best scene is when he's talking about his own movies and the filmmakers that he's admiring
Yeah,
and he likes. And I was like, he's like apparently not that into Solaris.
right.
He
Yeah,
has this
he
big talk
doesn't like
about
science fiction.
it's he doesn't like it, and some things are hard for him to connect to because they're too much genre. Like I never feel like if he feels at any point he's not in a reality, he doesn't like it. Like which explains and like why. Yeah, I get why Stalker would mean it and not Solaris because Stalker doesn't
Mhm.
show there's no evidence in Stalker. There's only theorizing. So I could get that because you could think Stalker, everybody's full of shit. The whole zone
Right,
thing.
right.
It's in there. You can see it.
Yep.
But Solaris, you're always on that space station.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that immediately, no matter what happens in the film, no matter how invested he's taken out of it, according to him, because there's always the genre is always present in every scene possible. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
He
except maybe the opening, he probably yeah.
he talks specifically in
Hmm.
the documentary about being proud of Stalker because he was able to remove anything recognizably science fiction
Right, yeah.
from it, and he's very happy the way that turned out.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to see that, and that Solaris ends up becoming like one of the top two films he's known for in his career that anybody would have heard of from him. So sorry in your memory that people loved Stalker or loved Solaris.
Solaris.
Yeah, but it is what it is. But yeah, that was the most interesting scene to me was when him and
Mm-hmm.
De Niro are just like shooting off about, and he's talking about Bergman. Who else does he bring up? Does he bring up Truffaut?
No.
Yeah.
Vigo.
De
Uh,
Sica. I think Vittorio De Sica brings up in that one, but like he's really into Bergman. I
it
think.
does
Yeah.
not mention a single American.
No, not one American.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a quick sidestep here and ask your viewers. I came across a quote from Tarkovsky. I may have said this when we first
Mm-hmm.
did our first show. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was in Sight and Sound magazine in the 90s, the
Okay.
early 90s. But I've looked through their archives and I've searched for this quote and I couldn't find it. It doesn't mean I searched well, but I've tried to find it and I've not been able to find it. And that is a quote from Tarkovsky about the Terminator.
Oh.
And he praises the Terminator and James Cameron for that movie as being an outstanding example of an action, a commercial action movie. And he talks about uh, really hating commercialism
Mm-hmm.
in the documentary that we're talking about. So I always loved that quote because um, you can silence a lot of people who call him or call his films pretentious
Mm-hmm.
by telling them that he greatly admired the Terminator.
Right, right. Well, it's crazy with those. Some people end up like really like the what is it? Christopher Nolan loves Adam Sandler movies. Like
Okay.
that's like it's like oh okay well oh the guy likes dick and fart jokes okay well crazy. So but yeah I mean I can see why he would take the Terminator. I mean
Yeah.
it's a vision that's against the grain. It's not super high budget. Like yeah I can see why he would lean on that.
Yeah. So if any of your viewers, listeners find that quote, please share it with us
Okay.
because I
Yes.
would love to see it again. I have a feeling it's probably in a magazine in a box in my basement somewhere and out, but
Okay.
chances of me ever actually finding it again are slim.
Right. Yeah, and Sight and Sound mentioned like I believe when they did the 2012 edition of their top 100 movies, Stalker appeared it had 9 votes to appear in that 100. Didn't make it,
Hmm.
but cuz what was it? It's Stalker and Mirror made that list, I
Hmm.
believe. Um but yeah, this one got some votes. I don't regularly hear this one brought up as of the popular. I think we've gone through the gamut of the ones people highly tout, and we're on the epilogue 2 movies of his.
Hmm.
But um, this one's yeah, it's fascinating. I'll return to this one no problem, but it is.
My sum up of nostalgia here is I started out by saying I couldn't really remember much
Mm-hmm.
past those two important scenes. I definitely liked it more
Mm-hmm.
this time. I got more out of it. It was more satisfying
Yeah,
viewing experience.
I think it's one you got to come back to. And I don't I think it's one you put away for a bit and you come back to too because like
Yeah.
I think the joy in it and the benefit of it is like we'll probably forget some of the things we were praising and enjoying tonight, and then when you come back oh yeah okay
Mm.
like there's a shot in here that looks like it's straight from Andrei Rublev as well where he's
Hmm.
it's black and white and he's walking through and it's not until you could just see him and be like, hey, is this Andrei Rublev? Some of us say, yeah. And then it panned in, there's a guy in a trench coat and be like, oh, no, it's not. But it looks like could be straight up from it. Um, so maybe he's having nostalgia for his old films with things like that. But it is, it is quite good. It's a step down from I think where we're at, But yeah, I do think I'm with you. Like, Mirror gets the cinematography credit, rightfully so, but this one isn't, like, it's right there with it, if not a little bit above.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he's a little bit more harnessed with what he wants to do with it. But it is, it's big. Like, that's what I love about Tarkovsky's film. It's just big cinematography, and he's got always has interesting, filling the frame with interesting things. It says a lot more than just the dialogue with what he's doing. But yeah, this one's no different, and one to check out if you have not, for sure. The Voyage in Time, you can pass on that unless you're a completist, because you need to see everything he directed. But yeah, this is a fascinating little jaunts. And Steven, we have one more installment left in Tarkovsky's Tales coming your way in October, in which we discuss The Sacrifice from 1986. But until then, where can people keep up with you?
I'm on Facebook, Stephen W. Hill, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch as a DJ Steve Hill 950. I DJ on Monday and Friday nights.
All right. And I'm on the socials at Brandon4KUHD. A reminder to subscribe to the YouTube channel, where you can not only watch these episodes, but my 4K Blu-ray and DVD reviews, as well as other thoughts and musings I sometimes leave on there. The show will be back on Monday to start year 6 with Troy Brownfield of the Saturday Evening Post, returning as we discuss Glenn Danzig's 2019 film Veronica. And you're like, why Veronica, you ask? Well, you'll have to listen into why we're talking about Veronica. There's meaning behind it. It's not just some screwy thing we're doing. So till then, stay film positive.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.